What's going on?
I haven't been live in a while, and I wanted to talk about the death penalty law.
All right. What, you don't think it's a good thing that terrorists should get the death penalty?
No, I do think it's a good thing. I wanted to hear who thinks it's a bad thing.
Nobody. Listen, only crazy people will think that the people who taking life. It doesn't concern. It doesn't actually including Palestinian, Christian, Jews. Everyone who actually taking life, he should get the death penalty. Now, in Israel, we have the death penalty only for the Nazi helpers. You know what we actually did with Eichmann. The
Right.
thing is, we waiting for the death penalty for actual terrorists. So it's long overdue. But I think the Supreme Court in Israel will actually deny that, going to decline that.
Really?
Yes, I do. I'm sorry to say it.
Wow.
Because they
Okay.
love their balls. That's why. They want to be liberal. They want to be like the other nation, but it doesn't work like that. The Middle East is a different kind of a neighborhood. If you're not going to be tough, you're going to be soft. And if you're going to be soft in the Middle East, your end is very, very near. So again, for us to make a point that taking Jewish life or Israeli life, for that matter, is not going to be cheap.
Right. But see, it really bothers me, though, that people here in Israel, Israelis, Jews, have a problem with it. Like, I don't understand it. And they're the ones that are going to, like, put it through the Supreme Court and try to block it.
Exactly. We have our share of psychopathic, kiss-ass, so-called liberals, left-winger, whatever you want to call them. But they are the minority. But the thing is, at the end, the Supreme Court in Israel control most of the things. Every rule that someone going to actually want to establish, they're going to cancel it. That's what they do. So yes, we have our share of people that even after 7th of October, saying that we should be merciful and compassionate and be the bigger man. It doesn't work like that. Because if you will see the kibbutz, the yeshuvim that actually was being first to actually getting infiltrate, in the 7th of October, Re'im, Kisufim, all these kibbutzes was actually a left-wing kibbutzes, and most of the people that was living there, they are the one who actually helped the Palestinians in the other side, taking them to the hospital if it's necessary, give them job, helping them in any shape or form, and still they infiltrate their houses and unalive them by the mass. So again, I think it's a mental issue to support your enemy. I don't know.
Right. So, yeah, because I've been reading up on it, and there's like petitions from these Israeli civil rights and human rights humanitarian places that want to block it. And they give all these reasons. They want to say that it's not going to deter them from doing terrorist attacks. They always say it's never going to deter them. But so we should just not do anything because they get life in prison now, and that doesn't deter them. So should we just stop giving them life in prison because it doesn't deter them? It's like their logic just makes no sense.
Exactly.
So they want to be like this legalistic, and then they want to bring in morality into it and say, or racial, and say it's just for the Palestinians. But the law is worded in a way that makes it clear that it's not solely not just because they're Palestinian that they're getting the death penalty.
Of course not. Not because they are Palestinian. The fact that they are Palestinian, they want to unalive, that's a thing. But it's not because they are Palestinian.
He has a phone call. All right. The death penalty for terrorists bill approved in final readings. In its sitting on Monday, the Knesset plenum voted to approve in second and third readings the death penalty for terrorist bill 2026, sponsored by MK Limor Sanhar Malek from Atzma Yehudit and MK Nassim Vatouri from Likud, and a group of MKs. In the vote, 62 MKs supported the proposal, 48 MKs voted against the bill, and 1 abstained. The opposition's reservations to the bill were all rejected. It is proposed to stipulate that the Minister of Defense will instruct the commander of IDF forces in the region to amend the order regarding security provisions that is applicable in the Judea and Samaria region, so that a resident of the area, excluding an Israeli citizen or a resident of Israel, who intentionally causes the death of a person in an act of terrorism, shall be subject only to the death penalty unless the military court finds that special circumstances justify imposing life imprisonment instead. It is further proposed to determine that the authority of a military court to impose this sentence will not be conditional upon a request by the prosecution or unanimous decision of the panel or the judges holding a rank of at least lieutenant colonel. It is also proposed that the commander of IDF forces in the region will not be authorized to pardon, mitigate, or commute a death sentence imposed for this offense. Okay, so they're saying that the previous rules that governed imposing the death penalty are no longer going to be required or applicable, and instead they're basically given no choice but to impose the death penalty unless the prime minister steps in and declares a special circumstance. In addition, it is proposed to amend the penal law, that's the Israeli civil law, so that a person who causes the death of another with the intent of denying the existence of the state of Israel under circumstances constituting an act of terrorism shall be liable only to death or life imprisonment. So in civil courts, you still have the option of either death or life imprisonment. Let's see. It is likewise proposed that the court's authority to impose the death penalty under the penal law and under the crime of genocide, prevention, and punishment law will not be conditional upon a request by the prosecution, which means a prosecutor could step in previously and ask to not impose the death penalty, and now that's taken away. So they're basically taking away every other opportunity from everybody that has the authority to come and to deny the request or ask for life imprisonment instead. It is further proposed to establish that a death sentence under this law will be carried out by hanging within 90 days from the date it becomes final, and to authorize the Prime Minister to request that the court delay the execution for special reasons for a cumulative period not exceeding 180 days. It is also proposed to amend basic law, so that the government will not be permitted to order the release from imprisonment of a person convicted, suspected, or accused of an offense punishable by death. Additionally, it is proposed to amend the prisons ordinance to establish arrangements regarding the conditions of segregation for a person sentenced to death, restrictions on access to such a person, and the confidentiality of the execution of the sentence. Okay, so finally, it is proposed to amend the rights of victims of crime law to enshrine the rights of victims to receive updates from the Israel Prison Service regarding the date of execution of the sentence. The explanatory notes to the bill state, the penal law, 1977, prescribes a sentence of life imprisonment for the offense of murder. Experience shows that this penalty does not deter terrorists, since many of them presume that their imprisonment period will be shortened significantly in deals that include a prisoner release. Many terrorists have also returned to their former behavior and continue to engage in terrorist activity after their release. Since the prison sentence is not a sufficient deterrent, it is proposed to stipulate that the penalty for terrorists who have committed acts of murder will be death. This penalty will serve as a deterrent and will be able to prevent further acts of murder from being committed. National Security Committee Chair MK Zvika Fogel from Otzma Yehudit presented the bill saying, the state of Israel is coping with a reality of evil and hatred that are unparalleled worldwide. Our enemies do not seek a border, a compromise, or a shared future, but rather to destroy, to attack, to sow fear here, and to challenge our very existence here. In the face of such a reality, our responsibility is clear, to protect the citizens of Israel, not by words or hopes, but by actions. This bill is not a bill of revenge or rage. It is a bill of states' responsibility towards its citizens, of a leadership towards human life. The reality has changed, and I am glad to say that the security doctrine of the senior officials of the defense establishment has also changed, particularly after we parted from those who were the defenders of the previous preconception, and now everyone supports the need to advance the bill. Even if they had remarks on its details, after dozens of debates, most of which were in-depth and serious, a reasonable bill was formulated here, which understands the complexity of the reality, but also does not deny it. Okay. The existing option for a death penalty in Israeli law has not been implemented since the Eichmann trial. This bill adds a significant tier to the defensive wall that we are obligated to build, particularly since that Black Sabbath, which is October 7th. We are not bloodthirsty and we do not seek to kill. We are a nation that sanctifies life, and for this reason, we cannot afford to forsake lives. This bill is part of an array of changes and another tier in the path towards winning the war of revival and the battle for our future and the future of our children. The bill will enable the death penalty to be imposed for an act of murder under terrorist circumstances in Israel's territory and also in Judea and Samaria. The deterrence will be increased towards future terrorists because a terrorist will know that the outcome will not be a few years in prison, but rather to end his life. Another tool will be added to the war on terrorism, and the incentive will be reduced to commit terrorist attacks for the purpose of bargaining to release prisoners. The bill does not require a unanimous conviction, and it also stipulates that a prisoner sentenced to death will be held in a separate cell block, and the sentence will be carried out within 90 days and after an automatic appeal. The message is very clear. Whoever chooses the path of terrorism and raises a hand against Israel's citizens with the aim of destroying will know that this has an unequivocal and irreversible price. Some will say that this is immoral, and I say there is nothing more moral and ethical than to protect our citizens' lives. Okay, here's statements from the opposition to the bill. MK Gilad Kariv from the Labor Party commented on the bill, saying this is an immoral, un-Jewish, and undemocratic bill, which is also not effective from a security standpoint. In all the long months of the deliberations on this bill, not a single opinion was laid before the committee that justifies the basic assumptions upon which it is based. Each time we requested a professional opinion or details on the extensive staff work that was ostensibly carried out, the professionals disappeared and we received nothing. No document that supports the basic assumption that instituting a death penalty increases deterrence. Who is to say that applying a death penalty will not actually increase motivation for revenge and high-profile terrorist attacks? Let the citizens of Israel know that the committee devoted more time to Minister of National Security MK Itamar Ben-Gvir TikTok videos than to opinions of officials from the National Security Council, the Israel Security Agency Shin Bet, and the Mossad, which expressed opposition to the final wording of the bill. The bill explicitly contradicts the provisions of international law that Israel has undertaken to observe. You are forsaken the IDF officers and the IPS prison guards. Don't make them into war criminals against their will by primary legislation of the Knesset. Okay. I'm going to continue reading because it goes on. This bill places Israel in the most extreme position in the democratic world with regard to the death penalty. Wherever it was necessary to choose, you always chose to turn to the extreme, to the abyss, to the fringe. A bill in which a person can be sentenced to death without a unanimous conviction. Do you consider that justice? Is that the sanctity of life that Jewish tradition has taught us? This bill also doesn't apply to the Nukhba terrorists from October 7th. But Minister MK Ben-Gvir and MK Fogel have no problem with coming here and at the expense of the memory of those who were killed on Simchat Torah, October 7th, lying to Israel's citizens as if the bill applies to them. You remove the section that applies to them from the bill. Well, it goes on later to, further down, it says that there's maybe a separate bill put forth specifically for the October 7th terrorists. Above all, the citizens of Israel should know that in this vile bill, a section was included that ties the hands of Israel's government in conducting negotiations over the release of Israeli citizens who were kidnapped by vile terrorist organizations. Okay, this is getting ridiculous. This is the parliamentary group whose members voted time after time against deals for the return of hostages, even the first one in which babies and children were returned, even after hundreds of days in which our brothers and sisters were beaten, starved, and raped in the Hamas tunnels, which were built with money that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu transferred to them. Would you murder and also take possession? Said MK Curry. Okay. Everybody left. So basically they're saying, she's making the argument, he is making the argument that it's better to have people serving life in prison, so that when we do have, she's making the assumption that we are going to have more hostages. And if we have more hostages, then we won't have any prisoners to exchange them for. And so that to her is somehow immoral, because then we can't save, we have no leverage to get back our hostages. But that goes against the very incentive why we're imposing this law to begin with, is so that they won't have an incentive to take more hostages. Because the reason why they take hostages is to get the prisoners out. So how does that even make sense when these people are just making no sense? There's something from the Rabbinical Assembly about their opinion on the death penalty. A Perspective on Israel's Death Penalty Law by Rabbi Ari Hasid. It says that Jewish law is ambivalent about the death penalty, alongside famous Talmudic statements opposing capital punishment by rabbinic court. Maimonides and others make clear that secular governments, whether a king or other ruling authority, are fully within their rights to use the death penalty as a means of preventing further murder. Okay, so it's good for everybody else to do, but apparently not for the rabbis, rabbinical courts to do. And yet, while Jewish law is ambivalent about capital punishment, it is not ambivalent about the centrality of a rigorous justice system. The law passed by the Knesset seeks to compel any court to impose capital punishment even against the court's own judgment, and to do so speedily, prioritizing deterrence over due process. Perhaps most egregiously, the law applies only to those who, by definition, are not represented by Israel, non-citizens and non-residents. While terror is truly a plague upon all Israelis, this law, which purports to fight terror, does so in a way that completely uproots justice. Okay, this is going to be anti then. In the name of the sanctity of life, we affirm that fighting terror is of utmost importance. We reiterate our disgust at the kidnapping of civilians and soldiers as leverage for the release of convicted murderers. But even in the face of the cruelest realities, we refuse to countenance a law that violates so many principles we hold dear. We must always remember that Judaism's emphasis on the sanctity of life applies to all people. No, it doesn't. Of all religions and all nationalities. A law meant to protect Jewish or Israeli life while remaining cavalier regarding Palestinian life goes against one of the most basic principles of Judaism. We must reject this law and insist on proper due process and justice for all who are brought before the court, regardless of nationality or the crime of which they are accused. Okay, this is ridiculous. What happened to an eye for an eye? What happened to not having any mercy for your enemies who are trying to unalive you and to go and unalive them first? This is utter nonsense. And yet some anti-Semites are going to use this to go against, to say that that it goes against Judaism and how Zionism is so bad. So that's it. The Association for Civil Rights in Israel abolished the death penalty law. On March 30th, 2026, ACRI filed a petition with the Supreme Court demanding the repeal of the death penalty for terrorist law minutes after it passed its second and third readings in the Knesset. The law mandates the death penalty by hanging, with limited exceptions, in the military courts in the territories for Palestinian defendants convicted of murder on a terror-related basis, and either the death penalty or life imprisonment in the courts in Israel for anyone convicted of murder under circumstances of terror committed with the intention of denying the existence of the State of Israel. The punishment is expected to apply only to Palestinians, since only they are tried in the military courts, and within Israel, the definition of denying the existence of the State of Israel ensures that the death penalty will not be imposed on Jews. Well, might disagree with that, because we have tons of people that seem to be okay with being spies for Iran and traitors, but that's a different thing. That should also be a death penalty mandatory thing, and I think it is. But that kind of falls under that. ACRI's petition argues that this is a cruel legislative amendment that creates a dual and discriminatory legal system based on ethnicity, deepening racial segregation. The military courts have a harsher system intended only for Palestinians, in which the death penalty is the default, conviction is by a simple majority as opposed to by a unanimous panel of judges, and there is no right to a pardon. Compare with the more lenient arrangement in civilian courts in Israel, where Jews are tried, even if they live in the West Bank. Additionally, the Knesset is not authorized to legislate directly for the West Bank, since the military commander is the legal sovereign in the occupied territory. The Knesset imposing legislation on the West Bank constitutes de facto annexation, which is against international law. The death penalty law also contravenes international conventions binding on Israel. This abominable and repugnant law causes irreversible harm to the right to life, the right to dignity, the right to due process, and the right to equality. This is especially true given the short time frame, 90 days, for carrying out the sentence, which prevents the correction of wrongful convictions. There is nothing that justifies the existence of this law. The supposed factual basis for the need for the death penalty is flawed, as there is no proof that the death penalty deters terrorism or ideological attackers. In addition, the law is incompatible with Israel's values as a democracy. Indeed, extensive comparative legal data demonstrate a clear global trend toward abolishing the death penalty, which today is primarily associated with authoritarian regimes. Like America? The ultimate purpose of the law is vengeance and racism rather than actual fact-based or security need. Okay, well, they're wrong in so many ways. When the writers of the law specifically state that is not their intent, and they keep stating that there's no evidence to say that the death penalty will actually deter terrorism. Well, it's because we haven't used it. How do we know that unless we start using it? We've already seen like protests from the Palestinians against this law. So they don't like it. So if they don't like it, that means it might actually deter them. But on the other hand, we always want to say that, you know, they teach them to be martyrs, that they don't fear death. And they have actually said that time and time and time again. And yet, they still don't like this law. So I think it will deter them because they know that they won't be able to have a cushy life in jail, and it's sure an end to them. Maybe it might change the way they commit the T attacks. Maybe they might just want to be unalive right then. That would be great.
Hey, I'm sorry. I had to leave because I have a very important phone call.
Oh, that's all right. Well, so I'm sitting here just talking to myself.
No, it's okay. You can understand that people actually can listen to you and still not going to be viewing the guest. You know that there is a way that you can actually can watch you speaking without actually being on the comment. You know.
I know. I do that all the time in everybody else's life.
No, actually, I do it sometimes because you know when I actually when I'm in the comment for someone that I actually like to listen, I don't want him to be insulted, thinking that I don't want to actually participate in the conversation. So sometimes I'm actually listening on this side without being seen. I try to be respectful. That's what I do.
Okay,
So
so
again,
I'm going.
with the subject of execution, I wish it would be helpful, but I think not, because the ideology and the mentality and what we know ages ago and what we know what we actually going to know in the future, I don't think it's going to scare them, because in their perspective, they will be called martyrs. You know, they're going to get the 72 camels in hell. That's what they're wishing for.
I know, but
But
that's what I was just saying. I have an echo.
justice
I don't.
must be, but yes, you're right. Justice must be served.
Yes. I am encouraged though that there have been protests by the Palestinians themselves that don't like this law. So if they don't like it, maybe that's a good thing, that it might actually deter them. I
You
haven't
know
heard
what?
anybody.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny? Actually, when I swear to God, I just thinking about it, and you will ask any Israeli, except the fucking left-wing liberal sociopath that actually chanting that it's a bad law. I didn't see actual Palestinians in the West Bank or inside of Israel in particular that actually have a demonstration against this law, because they know who they are. You know, it's not like the lies that the pro-Palis in TikTok actually spreading. It's 10,000 Palestinians are actually been held in Israeli jail. 10,000 what? 10,000 leprechauns? 10,000 what? 10,000 prisoners that was being accused and been convicted in so many crimes, including murder, including a disputed weapon. You don't only have to be to unalive as an Israeli individual to be in prison. You can actually sell weapon. You can make a conspirate with someone. There's a lot of ways that you can find yourself in prison. So that when they say 10,000, 10,000 what? And then not every single one of the 10,000 have been committed in unaliving. So not every single one of them going to be executed. The thing is, we want justice for.
Again.
I'm sorry, people get me crazy on phone. By the way, where you
Okay.
from and what's your name?
Well, I don't want to put my real name out there,
No,
but
no, no. You have to have a nickname. You know, like Bugsy here. But my actual name is Miami.
oh, well, my original name, it was My Life in Israel. So if you just want to call me My Life or Haim Shali, that would be
Okay, my life. Okay. Chaim Sheli. And you live in UK or you living in Israel?
no, Israel.
Oh, all right.
This is what
And
I.
no, your English is a tongue
Oh no, I'm
language.
American.
You're American. All right.
Oh yeah,
I
but
understand.
I.
I actually I learned my English from Sopranos and American movies and not from school.
That's why you get Bugsy. Bugsy's
That's why I get
not.
Bugsy. Bugsy is an actual very interesting figure when you think about it. The thing is with crime in America, it's actually part of their culture. Take it or leave it. Without the mob in New York, there was no high buildings or construction that were actually working with unions and shit like that. When you're thinking about it again, it's part of a big puzzle. So Bugsy is one of the original, like Al Capone, like Lucky Luciano. Now they were the original one. Bugsy Siegel is the guy that actually invented Las Vegas.
Ah,
He saw it in his future. It's going to be like a GI city when soldiers in their surrounding going to get some rest. At the end, they started a big city with casino. The first casino was the Flamingo, and at the end, when the Flamingo start to losing money, they suspect that Bugsy actually ripped them off, and they actually at the end they put a contract on his head, and Meir Lansky was like his brother, and he actually begged for his life to let go, and he didn't manage to do so. So at the end, Bugsy found himself dead in his house with bullet in his head and bullet in his eye.
cool. Okay, so why you want to name yourself after that?
No, again, I have several names. You know, it's an interesting figure. It's just a
Okay,
nickname.
all right. I've lived in Israel for 11 years. I, I'm Jewish. So right now I live in Yerushalayim, but I go all over the place. I've lived a bunch of places here.
Oh, good for you. You live in Yerushalayim, the Golden City. As a keflach. My daughter
Well,
just told me she's been there. She actually visited the Western Wall and the city of David.
Yeah. So wait, are you in Israel or America? You're in America, Israel.
No, I'm in Israel. I'm actually
Oh.
from the south.
Ah. Kiryat Gat, Beersheba.
Something like I'm going to DM you. I'm going to DM you. I'm going to tell you exactly where I live.
Okay. Now I
there's
used
a lot.
to think
There's
Kiryat
a lot
Gat.
of. No, the thing is, that I'm actually the worst nightmare of the pro polis. I actually follow you, and you're probably going to follow me back, and you can join my community TikTok. We have a lot of good people that actually like to debate and sharing the same ideology as you, like Byron and Yossi and Daniel. You name it, good people.
I know,
They're
but
like a
like
little army.
I want to talk to like Israelis that have different opinions than I do.
You can find it. I actually can share you with one. His name is Balagan or Vegan. He's a lefty. He's a good kind of lefty. He's delusional. He actually see ourselves living side by side. By the way, he call us like occupation. That's how crazy he is. That we
Ah.
actually occupied and we're making atrocities and we are not the moral army like we used. Crazy shit. If you want to speak with someone like that without being agitated, good for you. I hope you know how to curse.
No, because like in my real life, I encounter these people,
And what do you
but I
think
can't
about what's
like
going on
debate
now?
them.
I have to know your opinion about what's going on around the world, especially in the United States. How the public opinion about Israel, about Jews, turn on us. Crazy it is. I actually, I don't know actually how to say it, but it's very frightening what is going to happen in 20 years from now.
Um,
So as American,
it's
what do
an
you think?
outgrowth of this progressive ideology that's been taught in the schools for like decades now. And now the younger generations are just like immersed in this ideology. And then when they go to the universities, it's embedded in them. So I, I don't even really care anymore. All I care about is Israel. I don't care what the rest of the world thinks.
Israel first.
Yes.
And by the way, you're totally right about it. But because at the end, the world proved again and again and again that Israel and Jewish are alone in this world. Nobody actually give us shit about us. It's all about interest. So at the end, we should take care of ourselves, and we have the mean to take care of ourselves. And that's why I'm saying we should stop with this bullshit finance of the Americans give us $4 billion every year. We don't need. We're going to bring this money from somewhere else. We're going to make the money. I don't want them to actually play with the tickets. You get taking our taxpayers' money. It's
Right.
one of
I
the
agree.
problems that actually is going on.
There was just an article today about the defense ministry having all these new orders and everything and ramping up the defense production here in Israel. So we don't have to rely on anybody so much on the outside. And Bibi has talked about this as well.
Understand one of the interests why we actually taking finance from America to actually purchase. You know that every single dollar that we're getting from America, we have to spend it in American factories like Lockheed Martin and such and all their equipment. Now,
Right.
the reason that they don't want to actually let us produce our own weaponry because they don't want us to sell our equipment. Because if we going to produce and actually manufacture, let's say, ballistic missile, we can actually sell it to someone else for the highest bid, of course, with friendly countries. But still, we can sell it. And the thing is that they don't want us to. That's one of the main reasons. They want us to be cooperative as much as we can. But I don't want them in 10 years they're going to grab us by the, I'm sorry by my language. I don't want them to grab us by the balls and tell us to whistle. It doesn't work. אתה לא תתפוס אותי בביצים ותגיד לי לשרוק. אתה לא תתפוס אותי. You understand?
Right. Well, that's because that's what Biden was trying to do.
Sleepy Joe.
Yeah.
Listen,
So
listen,
I think,
listen, Chaim Sheli. I'm going to drop. Maybe I will join you later. I will share this live with my friends.
okay, thank you very much.
What?
Bye.
You're actually new on TikTok or
No, I've been on here like, I don't know, 3 years.
all right.
but I don't go live very often. I couldn't go live for a long time.
Who are you going to vote in the next election in Israel?
Oh, I probably Otzma Yehudit.
All right. Ben Gvir. Ben Gvir is doing a hell of a job.
Oops. Oh, hold on. Somebody's requesting.
Let's see who's requesting.
Gayron?
Byron is good. Byron is my friend, Byron. Byron, meet Chaim Shelit. It's her nickname, my life.
Hi.
She's very nice.
Hello, I'm a
She's
pro-Palestinian.
from Jerusalem. Who's pro-Palestinian?
You are. Oh, you're left.
Why? If Palestine exists, also Narnia and oh, there is an echo.
דגנוס, תשתף
מיקי, אולי ממך?
היא בחורה מאוד נחמדה. מה קורה? כן, אני יורד, אני כמה דקות יורד. תשתף את הלייב הזה עם החברים.
בסדר.
How do I get rid of an echo?
Dropping me.
There.
Okay. Oh, hold on.
Yeah. How are you? I'm an Israeli.
Oh, good. So am I. I live in Jerusalem. Where are you?
Mm-hmm.
I live in Jerusalem.
I'm in the north, close to Afula.
Ah, so you're still getting wow.
No. We are not far away from Hadera, so it's okay. We are okay in the north, and in the north they are attacking much more.
Okay, so you're not getting any sirens in Afula?
In our area, no, it's very quiet. Even every kind of war that Israel get in, it's very quiet in our area.
Okay. So I wanted to talk about.
How long you are in Israel?
Oh, 11 years.
11 years. Where you from? Where you came from?
America.
Oh, nice to have you. It's
So,
about the time, I think.
My Ivrit, they lo tov.
It's okay, even the Hebrew of my father when he came from Morocco was not that terrible, but your children will be Israelis, Jewish, Tzabal, originally. No more United States, only to visit.
Well, I don't have children, unfortunately, and I'm too old.
Well, you can have, you will find a nice Israeli and you will have, not a problem.
Finding a nice Israeli is good, but I'm too old to have children.
Okay.
I'm past. It's physically impossible.
So, your family are in America right now, or?
Yeah. I'm not a born Jew. I'm a convert. So my family is not Jewish. My parents are pastors.
It's a big step. Why did you convert? What pushed you?
Oh, okay. So I don't really like to talk about it, but short story. I went through a very traumatic time. I wasn't raised religious, and I was looking for answers. And a Christian neighbor actually gave me a Bible. I never read it. And I decided to open it up and read it. And I decided to start from the beginning, from Genesis. I didn't read the New Testament. And then I started from the beginning because I wanted to find out about this Jesus guy, where he was in the Old Testament. And I kept reading, and I kept reading, and I kept reading. Didn't find him.
No.
So I'm like, I just had like an epiphany that, and what I was reading, it was hard to understand at first, but eventually the main concepts of good and evil and sin and what's not sin and how God judges you and cause and effect kind of makes sense. So I decided this makes sense. Christianity didn't make sense.
Well, I'm not here to say something bad about Christianity. I actually like very much Christians, but I could never believe in what they create in a sense of faith and how to worship God and stuff like that. But I do like that they have good values, and they are you can coexist with them. Christians live among us. We used to live among Christians. I did in my life 8 years in France. I had never a problem with Christian about religion or stuff like that. Maybe about politics in Israel and what's going on, probably. But so this is my experience about the Christians. I think also above all that, as a Jew, I think Christianity was created in the will of God, because one day Christians will stand for us and we will be together. This is my belief in personally. That's
Okay.
it. It's very interesting to meet a person who really do believe in God and finally have enough courage to follow by the right way. It's very interesting.
Thank you. Yeah, that's one of the things that when I first came here, I didn't know how to view the people here that were not so religious, because to me, in my perspective, it was like, how could you not be? I have since kind of changed my opinions because I know there's tons of people that still believe in God here and follow some kind of tradition, so it's not so black and white. So
This is good.
I have some respect for everybody.
I've got to say, I know someone from the TikTok is very famous. His name is Nick, and he's married with a Jewish Israeli girl who live in America, and he's a brilliant person. He talked about his journey and how he became what he is. He believed in the commandment of Noah.
Right.
He says, I do believe in God of Israel, and if I go to the Ten Commandment, there is one of the commands saying, don't make other God in my place. It's very clear, and Christian also follow by Ten Commandment. So this is what the beginning of his journey. And he check it out. He says in the beginning, Judaism, it's too complicated for me to understand it. But the much that he check it out also in Christianity and also in Islam, he find out that all directions go to the Torah. And someday he said to himself, you have to open it and understand what's going on in there. And then he found a chapter in the time of Noah and his son that God by himself saying for all the goy it's a nation, it's a person and also a nation. And God, he says clearly that the one who didn't born as a Jew, it didn't follow by Judaism or doesn't want to follow by Judaism, I command him 7 command of Noah. That's it. And from then on, he found out so many answers and stuff like that. Very interesting.
Yeah, I'm finding more and more people like that, and it's really good to see. Terracotta.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. What are you up to today?
Well, I'm wanting to see what people think about the death penalty law here in Israel that just passed.
Oh.
Do you have an opinion on it?
Who can get the death penalty and why? Tell me more about it.
Wait, where are you from? Ah, okay.
London.
So you're not Jewish? You're not Jewish?
I'm Jewish, yeah. I am.
Oh, you are? Okay. Are you pro-Israel then? Okay. Wait,
Yeah.
I have a cat that's calling me.
Did you hear what happened in London yesterday? Hello? Oh, she's gone.
It's horrible.
Oh, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, you heard what happened in Golden Screen? Somalian, yeah.
It's crazy.
What? Yeah, it's 5 minutes from my house.
Oh my God. I think
no one here is shocked. That's the problem.
I think it's very important that Jewish from our people will be all over the world. But if their environment are so vile and so stressing, they should not stay there. Leave all the poo for the local.
Yeah.
And they will this is how it is, bro.
Okay. So why don't you make Aliyah?
Yeah.
Why don't you come to Israel?
It's easier said than done. It's easier said than done. But I lived in Israel. I lived in Israel for many years. Not many years, a few years.
Great. So why did you leave?
Yeah. It was always the plan.
So now you're in London, right?
Yeah.
My God, you have a nice mayor, actually.
Yeah. I'm not from London though. I was born in Manchester.
Also in Manchester, there is a Muslim mayor.
No, there isn't. No.
No?
No, in Manchester, it's Andy Burnham. He's not Muslim.
Every day I'm watching a little bit news in the TV, and yesterday they talk about what's going on in England and about the pigua and stuff like that, and we can see that the government are completely with Israel, completely with against racism, against anti-Semitic, the voices on the street, So this is something that it's a little bit confusing us.
Yeah, the Prime Minister came today to the Jewish area.
Oh, and he
Oh,
got
yeah.
booed or something.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, yeah,
Why?
yeah. People feel he's not
Because
doing
it
enough.
fell?
He just, yeah.
Well,
It's-
you know, it exists. You know, the phenomenon of anti-Semitic are existing in every country that there is the religion of peace. You know, very simple. So if they know,
Yeah.
everybody know that. You know, when you go to a country and there is some camel riders, okay, so obviously that there will be some hatred and some anti-Semitic and stuff like that. But I'm trying to ask, how come the government doesn't do nothing about the freedom of speech on the street, on the social media and stuff like that? Because what you see in TikTok, it's what you see also on the street. So if the government are with Israel and against anti-Semitic and racism and stuff like that, they should do something about it and not waiting for intifada. Because yesterday they made a big reporting about UK. Let me tell you, bro. They made also the reporting talking about the system of education in UK. And since that there is Muslims on the which is the head of the union of the teacher in UK is a Muslim Pakistani, which is shout on the street, every country should have an intifada.
Globalized.
You understand how?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man, I was blowing out. How can a
Let me ask you.
teacher?
Can I ask you a completely different question?
Yeah.
Who?
You're a native Hebrew speaker, yeah?
Me?
No, not you. The other fellow. He speaks Hebrew, yeah?
You're wrong. Okay.
You're native.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a
I'm
question?
born in Israel.
Let me. Can I ask you? Yeah. Can I ask you a question about Hebrew?
Yeah, sure.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you why in a minute. But let's say. Okay. So let's say in Hebrew, modern Hebrew, in Ivrit, you'll say. Let's say a ball. You'd say kador. Yeah. Nachon?
What? You was broke out.
A ball. Sorry. A ball. B-A-L-L. How do you say in Ivrit? You'd say kador. Yeah.
Kadu.
Kador. So how would you say my ball? Would you say kadori or kador shali?
לא. לא. So הכדור שלי, my ball, הכדור שלי, and כדורי, it's when the ball you have a life, so you can name him sweetheart and stuff like that. So כדורי, it's something like you know, you cannot say to an object something like that, כדורי, because it's an object, it's not in a life, you know.
But in Old Hebrew, let's say in the Hebrew,
Byron, I think he can. If it's like a poetry, you can say kaduri.
Let me ask you. Let's say mother. Let's say mother is M. Would you say imi?
Imi. You can say my mother. You can say ima sheli, and you can say imi. It's the same
So what's
thing.
the
Yeah,
difference?
but
What's the
listen,
difference?
guys, listen, guys. Very important. When you nick that name Imi or Kaduri, there is a big difference. Imi, she have a spirit. She's alive. It's not an object. For that, you cannot call to a kaduri. Only in poetry, like Boxy says.
In poetry and shit.
Okay, in poetry, but
Let's say
not,
let's say
We have someone in
let's
the
say what
comment.
about
We have someone in the comment. His name is Deganus. He will say Barvazi instead of my duck. He will say my Barvazi. My instead of saying.
Yeah, ברור שאומרים גם כדורי.
like for example, Yekiri, Yekirati.
No, you
can say that
kaduri,
also
you can say
Yekira.
kaduri. You can. But no,
You can
So
say
what's
that
the
only in
difference?
poetry, but it's not really in Hebrew for talking or stuff like that. You know, it's not useless.
You're
don't
not-
use-
Let's say what about let's say your mother? Would you say imcha?
Imi.
No. Imcha, it's your mother. Sometimes I actually use imcha in a sentence. Lo ima shelcha.
Not really.
Imcha. Sometimes. Imi, I hardly use it, but you actually can say it.
Oh my goodness.
What? Would you say imcha?
Just a minute.
We have a troll in the comments.
So what?
You want to bring Muhammad Kamel into the panel? Muhammad, come up.
Look at that. Look at that.
What is it?
Look at that. A nun. She's a nun. And an Arab Palestinian. Shove it out on the street.
Wait, where is this?
Look at that. It's a nun. And he kicked her. Oh my god.
What?
No. It's too violent.
Is this live?
Yeah, it's on the news.
Basically, you're saying that. Sorry. If I don't want to take over the live with questions about the Hebrew language. Apologies. Carry on. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Just a quick question.
You don't have a pro police for us to abuse. Bring them here.
Let me ask you one quick question then. One more, if that's okay. Is that okay? I don't want to bore you.
Of course, my brother. That's what we're here for.
Let's say let's say biblical Hebrew. Let's say the Hebrew in the Bible. There,
Right.
I think they would use one word better. No, is that right?
Of course they do. It's more actually accurate.
Yeah, is that
Hebrew.
correct?
Of course, it's more accurate Hebrew. I think that we use.
Let's say it says it. Let's say.
I think that we're using more than 80% of the word that was used. Some there's. Listen, we have to understand. We have to be recognize the fact that the Hebrew language has actually been renewed.
Yeah, for sure.
Jews, yeah, but still, we never forget it. In our bar mitzvah, in our prayers, we always read Hebrew. We didn't use it,
Yeah.
but we actually know what it's. We are not stupid like our cousin. You know what I'm saying? We know what we're reading.
They're not our cousins. We cannot be cousins with the camel riders and come
We
on.
are cousin, man.
We are not cousins. They should first of all prove it that they are descended of Ishmael. They have to prove it. They cannot. They cannot even prove that they are Semites. They use with the Torah.
I give them the benefit of a doubt. You know what? If they were actually a human being, I will happy to call them my cousin. I actually mean it. I'm being cynical,
Listen,
man.
Boxy. Listen,
being cynical.
Habibi. This is when you're going
Guys,
through
share the live,
with
guys,
what
share the
they
live.
say. Listen, if you are accepting and using with the terms that they using for themselves, you justify their lie. They're not Semite for me. They're not descendant of Ishmael, and secondly, are not from Abraham. They just copy. They just adapt our ancestors. They calling to Musa, Sayyidina Ibrahim, Sayyidina Yusuf, Sayyidina, I don't know. They're not. Sayyidina, it's our Lord.
Dawood.
Yeah. So you see, they adapt
They have nothing
all
over-
our
Yeah, I know,
ancestors.
I know.
It's like the problem with Oslo. Okay, in the minute that you confirm that lie that there is a people of Palestine, go fight with that mistake that Rabin and Peres made in the beginning. They should not.
You know what
They
they're
should not
saying?
accept that.
You know what they are saying? A stone that was thrown into a well by a stupid man, 1,000 smart people cannot take it out. That's the truth, man.
Okay, I want to say something about that. I think part of the problem comes from our own government too, because they fall into the same thing where they'll still say Palestinians and they'll still accept this narrative of
Absolutely.
identity.
I agree with you that our government made a lot of mistakes, and one of them is to recognize a bunch of people who came over and established on our ancestors' land, and they want to build a country on your ancestors' holy
But you have
countries.
Sell, man. But these ships that sell, man, they are here and they are here to stay, man. We have to recognize this fucking fact. They're not going to
No,
go
no,
away.
no.
I wish
Listen,
it was
Boxy.
the truth. I wish it was that easy. But
Boxy.
listen,
Boxy.
I'm not listen, I'm saying
Boxy.
something. One second. I'm not putting myself in a delusional thinking. I'm here to deal with the problem right now. I'm not going to actually.
Okay, I've got to go. Thanks for having me. Have a good day,
just a
everyone.
minute.
Bye,
Thank you,
brother.
there. So listen, bro. In the minute that you follow by those things, you justify their lie, and this is wrong because that lie will hit you one day, and this is what happened.
I'm not saying give them.
So no. Let me respond to you about. Let me respond to you about the fact that they are here. Also, before 200 years, people came over to the Jew and tell them very soon you will have a country.
Right.
Okay. So things happen. You never know. But in the minute that you will make a mistake and recognize them as a nation, you hit yourself.
No,
because
I'm not saying,
I see them. I see on them, Mickey.
They don't
Mickey, I see.
They don't deserve a state. Let them stay where in the shithole that they are living right now. Let them stay there. Fuck them. That's what I'm saying.
No, I don't want them
shit.
there. I don't want them there, Mickey. I don't want them there because let me tell you why. Listen. No. Listen. I will tell you, Mickey. I will tell you. It's very simple to understand that. In the minute that I admit there is a problem on my country with bunch of group who doesn't want that my country will exist or continue to exist, okay, and they're making Khmerism and supporting a lie that they are before us and all those bullshit, it will come to you one day if you're not fight against that lie.
Who is going to take these motherfuckers? Who's going to take them? Nobody.
I don't care. I don't really care. They are Arab. First of all, we have to admit it that they are just Arab. Just a minute, Mickey, Rega. We have to admit it that first of all they are just Arab. Okay, they have no history because when you call to a bunch of people, people should have an history, a culture, maybe a faith. They have nothing. Even the name family came from some tribute all around the Middle East. Have you know that, host? All the names Arabs that you have here in Israel, they are Arabs who carry on their name family from the place where they came from. For example, the Ghazian, there is a lot of them from Egypt. So they call themselves Al-Masri. It's Beit. It's a house. Okay, Zuabi came from Iraq. Khurani from Syria. Sidawi from Sidon. A lot of names. Hujirat. Hujirat was a person that yesterday was unalived by how you say that? המעופפים האלה, נו. Nikki. Drones. Yeah, it was unalive. Is Hujirat, his name, and Hujirat came from Saudi Arab. Saudian. So you understand, they carry on their name from the place where they came from to establish in Israel, or whatever kind of place they will come, even in England, in America, they will always be loyal to the name family, okay? And their name family already tell everything about them. That's it. It's very simple.
Okay, have you actually talked to like Israeli Arabs here about this and how they feel about it?
There is a lot of Arabs, if I'm not mistaken that I understand your question, but I think there is a lot of Arabs who, thank you so much, there is a lot of Arabs who love Israel and want to be part of the society and want to and don't want that all the tension between Jew, Christians, Muslims, stuff like that. They want to live a respectable life in a country. They are loyal to the country, but the majority are not, and they risk our life every time that they are here. And in the minute that our government doesn't do nothing about
these motherfuckers, you have to understand, are an ancient sin. We are like the hunchback from Notre Dame. They are our hunchback. That's what we actually live. This is our fate. This is our destiny. We did something wrong and God punished us for that. So we have to deal with them. They're not going to go anywhere. I wish they were. I wish they were, these motherfuckers. I'm not saying let them have their own state, have their own country. Let them stay in the shithole that they came from. You know what? I will live without this part of the land.
You can never. Mickey, everybody all around the world want to finish that problem, that conflict, because that conflict infected their country, their societies. Okay, so everybody wants that there will be peace, but the problem that in Islam there is no such a term. No such a term, peace. Show me one country who made a real peace during 1400 years of existence in Islam. No one. Why? Why? Because the way. No. Listen. The way that they translate peace, you will have a peace long that we control you. This is what Islam. This is how peace you will have. If we will control, if we will dominate everybody like jizya and dhimmi and stuff like that, then you will have a peace. Okay? People doesn't really know those things. You know, this is the problem. They don't know the state of mind of Arab Muslim. They don't. And from here, there is a lot of problem because they don't understand. And they always will treat you, always, in a kind of agreement and stuff like that. How many agreements Israel made since our existence? No one they respect. No one.
Thing is, you know what the thing is? Europe should be more afraid for what's the future hold for them more than we. We actually know
They are doomed.
to deal with this shit. They are doomed. Europe is doomed. They are the one who should be
exactly
us, man. We know how to handle this. We know. We're actually expert in this matter. They are not. They are falling. Yeah, doom is actually the right word, man.
Yeah, I've learned it from Christians. A reverend Christian American who's saying that when they turn back to the nation of Israel, they doomed. And this is what you have in Europe.
Undercover, well, bring your friends undercover.
Which friends?
I don't know, bring your friends. Be nice, she's a friend of mine. Undercover is on the verge of being a Zionist.
I mean,
we can't hear you, host.
I have it on mute. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello?
Undercover, how you been, man?
I'm good. I'm playing a video game, but those guys are already attacking each other in the game.
All right.
So, you know, guys,
Once I can have a phone call.
Let me invite some people so we can fight them.
I saw that you came up. You have something to say, you know.
Me?
Yeah.
How's your day? How do you feel?
Geopolitics.
Politics? No, I don't really follow politics. I'm very into science, living healthy, enjoy life. I don't really care about nationality, religion, and
Where you
politics.
from, bro?
I'm from the Netherlands. You remember?
Oh, really? No, I don't know you.
The thing is,
Oh.
we actually have our, how do you say it, very, very involved with our nationality, with our conflict, and still we're having fun in Israel. We're still celebrating and partying and drinking.
Yeah, it's good. Enjoy.
Yeah.
But drinking is not healthy, huh?
Occasionally, it's okay. It's not okay.
What do you think about the conflict?
Yeah, it will evolve. It will evolve. It's just the Arabic culture that have the Islamic culture, huh? It will.
If you was an Israeli, what do you think it was the best for Israel compared to the problem that Israel are sitting on?
More security. You guys need more security. For
More security?
Like more military, more police.
Listen. My question is very simple. It's about if you was a Jewish and an Israeli, okay?
Yeah.
Do you think that you will accept that bunch of people who call themselves, I don't know, Palestinian, for example, okay, want to build a country and be recognizing by all the nation of the world on your ancestors' land? Are you accepted? You will accept it?
Nah.
So what are you gonna do?
Try to disprove their existence and try to make sure that they know Israel gonna exist over there, whatever.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, let's say hello to the guy up there.
Yes, I see. I don't see the problem. I don't see the problem. It's like under the but it's something about death penalty, I suppose.
What, death penalty?
Yeah, I mean it's hard to see it because like under everything,
Death penalty.
death penalty for terrorists got approved in final readings. Yeah, it's already been approved. It's passed as a law, by the way. I don't know. It's not even approved. It's passed as a law. Anyways, I disagree with it. Sorry. Yeah, I disagree with the new law that sees the execution of Palestinian theists. Am I audible? I don't know if I'm audible.
We can hear him.
Okay.
Yeah, turn that background noise off.
That's you. That's not me, bro. You have the background noise.
What? Yeah.
It's your background noise.
Hold on.
Yeah, Baron, what do you think? Do you agree with it?
What?
What?
With what?
With the death penalty?
About what?
The death penalty.
What is that?
Death penalty.
Oh, yeah. Of course, against Shmerist, of course.
בסדר, אבל תגיד לי, אחי, מחבל יהודי, אתה גם תולה?
I am not though. You know why?
רגע, נו, בירון, מחבל יהודי, אתה גם תולה?
I will explain why. I'm not for that penalty.
רגע, אחי, אני רוצה לדבר עם בירון, מה אתה רוצה, אחי? רגע, שנייה.
Just a minute, he doesn't speak Hebrew.
I don't speak Hebrew.
בסדר, אבל אתה מחבל יהודי, אתה גם תולה? תגיד לי, תענה לי, אחי.
אם זה אחד שלקח חיים, כן, בטח, מה?
בסדר.
אסור לקחת חיים.
Yes, but the law does not include the Jewish theists.
Well, Jewish fight for their life, you know?
Not every Jew fights.
No, the one who live on a place like West Bank and stuff like that.
Yeah, but we have theists in the West Bank too. We have Jewish theists, מחבלים יהודים ומחבלים ערבים, אחי. Okay, so we have both.
Yeah, well, this is what happened when you start a conflict with the Jew. The Jew will raise up and will do also Shmerism.
כמה זה שקלים, אחי?
Very simple.
No,
Who started all this conflict?
It doesn't matter.
Who started? It is matter because we became a stowage because of them. We became...
קודם כל, אני לא אוהב לדבר על פוליטיקה ושנייה, אני לא יודע כלום בפוליטיקה ושתי...
נהיינו קצת גזענים בגללם.
רגע, אחי, שנייה. I'm just trying to explain, okay? But this topic affects everyone. Correct? נכון או לא? תגיד לי, אחי.
The
affects
what?
everyone. This new law affects everyone.
No, I don't think so. It's about the time.
Do you believe
It's
that
about the time. You can let listen. The circle is turned around and around and around. Someone came from there, unalive bunch of Israelis, Jewish, get into the prison. We gave them food. We gave them a bed. We gave them a plate. Just a minute. This is a hotel. This is a hotel for them. Okay. When they return back from the prison, they like a hero. Okay. So it's about the time. It's about the time when they raise up the level of violence, we will raise up also our level. That's it.
Okay, but sure.
They bring it to themselves, you know.
Okay. Firstly, I don't have a problem with the law if the law is implemented on both people. But you clearly said, I asked you a question. Do you believe there is something known as the Jewish theism? Or yes or no?
A Jewish theism? We don't hear you, host.
Yeah, we don't hear you.
תגיד לי בעברית.
Wait, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, I said we have Jewish terrorists and we have Arab terrorists, correct?
No.
No, we don't
hear you, host.
Every time when you get closer to the phone, we can hear you. I think that's the thing.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
Good.
Okay. We have.
Okay, now we don't hear you.
It's like cutting off all the time. Now we hear you. You say
She might have the voice reduction on or something. Noise reduction. Or like voice isolation.
Yeah, could be. Maybe the background.
Okay. Now can you hear me?
Anyway.
Yes.
Okay, next shot can.
Okay. We have two legal jurisdictions going on at the same time. One is the West Bank, which is the jurisdiction is the military court, and then we have Israel proper, who is the civilian court. Okay, so people in
we don't
the
hear.
West.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, we hear.
The law stipulates that it's for only non-citizens and non-residents. Okay, the Israeli citizens and residents in the West Bank are under Israeli civil jurisdiction.
זה לא נכון. That's not what it says. It says any attack perpetrated with the intent to destroy the state of Israel, to annihilate the state of Israel, is a theist attack.
I've got to be honest. We don't hear you, host.
Citizens.
Now you came back. Now we can hear. I don't know why you have those breaks, but anyway, guys, I want to thank you so much, host, for having me. I will follow you and I will come later on. You know. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.
Thank you. Okay, why? Oh, now he's gone.
No,
hello.
I'm still there.
You're the only one here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Just when it was getting good, nobody could hear me. Okay. So, what do you want to say about anything?
I almost said something. I'm not for the death penalty because you can always go into a research how those people's mind work, and you can just do science with it, you know, and try to get to know how they think and how they operate in their head.
Okay, that isn't really the reason why we had to go this far to enact this law is not just solely to have a death penalty. It's to deter the schmearists from taking hostages and then using those hostages as leverage to get the prisoners out of our Israeli jails. And so the terrorists that commit the crimes commit them because they know that they might not serve that much time because eventually they'll get lesser sentences or get released in a prisoner exchange. And they have cushy conditions in jails, even though the propaganda says that it's just torture. So if it's torture, you would think that they would want to be executed instead of living through the torture, but they have no logic to their arguments. So I can understand in other countries where there's death penalties, it's like takes years and decades to get to that point, and we can't afford to have that because of the situation that we're always in, where there's an incentive for them to keep taking us hostage. And nobody else really has that problem. So this is what we need to do. Whatever we're doing, keeping them in jail is not working. So we need to make their life more miserable. So we have to keep making it life worse and worse and worse for them to stop. Do you understand?
Yeah. I mean, it's not happening over here, but there. So they have to decide what's good for them. But I personally think executing or the death penalty, it's not a good thing. I mean, you can always do research on those people instead of just removing them.
I don't understand what you mean by research. The statistics and the reality show that these people that commit the terrorist attacks, when they do come out of prison, they don't stop. They just go right back to committing terrorist attacks. And it's been shown over and over and over again. Like 80% of them go back to committing more terrorist attacks.
Why
And
is that,
so
do you think?
what?
Why is that, do you think?
What?
Why that is? Why do you think they do that?
Oh, because, well, I think it's more about Islam than anything. They want to claim that it's about oppression, but it's really more about Islam because they're taught to, from a young age, to hate Israelis, Jews, and their prime goal is to unalive them. So they're going to keep going back until we either get rid of all of them out of our territory so they don't have a chance to do that, or they do that and we have to execute them in order for them to stop doing it. Like, they're not going to stop. I don't know, like, you have to be here and to understand their mentality. All the videos and videos and videos of them saying that they're going to do October 7th again and again and again.
Yeah, but is it possible? It's not that they have no possibility to leave the religion, right? That's possible, right?
Actually, no. If they do leave, they get either beat up, imprisoned, or possibly unalived. They may be cut off by their family.
What if they leave the religion and Israel protect them afterwards?
Yeah, but like you're saying hypothetical things that have never happened.
Oh, is Israel trying to disprove Islam?
Well, no, because we're a democracy and we allow all religions. So
that's the problem. If you see that Islam is the problem and you're not disproving this, Islam is the problem, you allow them to die by creating this loop. That make no sense, right? So if there is a virus, you cure them, right? You know that Islam is a mind virus, so you have to. It's like anti-Semitism, right? In Europe, we know that anti-Semitism is wrong. We are not just saying, "Oh, there's freedom of religion," and then let them be anti-Semitic ideas in their head. So we try to save their minds by telling them what they believe it's wrong.
Yes, and there's some people that want to do that in the West Bank by changing. They keep saying they need to change the education system so they're not taught just to hate and to want to kill Jews. But in order to do that, Israel has to take over sovereignty over the West Bank, which I'm for. And because then we would have control, because the Arabs here in Israel live here and they're educated here in our same education system, and they're not taught that.
Yeah,
so it can happen, but I don't feel like we can wait. Like, what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to just live with terrorist attacks for like another generation and two? Like,
if you educate both sides, then it's fair game. So you teach them that God and those religions doesn't exist for both sides, for the Jewish people and the Muslim people, then you can stop terrorism. There's also a
Well,
solution. If you want equal, like if you cannot disprove Islam because in Israel there live Muslims, so if you just deny both of them, they don't have any issues. Like because the Jews and Muslims, both of them, they don't like atheism, right? Instead of attacking each other, they will attack atheism and leave each other's throat. Or you can invite them to not believe in those things while they are fighting each other. I don't know, in debate, in religion, in religious debate. But you might, I mean, in the prison you can teach them. I mean, you don't have, or you can just isolate them from the Muslims in Islam and just still secretly tell them that Islam is wrong. I don't know.
I don't know. Those are like out of the box ideas, but so I don't have really an opinion about if that would work or not. But the main issue is we have freedom of religion here in Israel. So there's mosques, there's churches, there's synagogues.
I am
But
against freedom of religion because you allow people to be brainwashed. If you allow kids to be a terrorist, and then later on you have to deal with it, then you exterminate them with more cost instead of a cheaper cost by telling them that this religion, this mindset is dangerous. And then
okay,
you have like that's.
so you're against any religion?
I mean, listen, I believe in the evolution. I think a certain religion is a part of our evolution, like Islam, Judea, and Christendom. We have learned certain things from it, and we are evolved from it. Like especially the monotheistic religion have teach people to be clean and the hygiene, to wash yourself. Like if you just look at the Jewish religion and Christian religion and the Muslim religion, you have like something like washing, doping, and those kind of things, and be kind to your parents and those kind of things. You know, those futuristic things. We have that, and then we just move on without the religion. Like you don't have to believe in a God to be well disciplined. You know,
True.
right?
That's true. There's a lot of good ethics and morality in religion without having to do the sacrificial things and
Yeah.
that. That's why I feel like there are a lot of atheist Jews, even here in Israel, because the Torah doesn't really command to believe in God. You just have, it's more about the actions of doing things. You shall do this, you shall not do this. It doesn't really say that you have to believe a certain way, except for like when you get into, when you talk about the 13 principles of Judaism, and one of them is like the belief of God is one and everything. But, and that's our whole foundation of Judaism, is believing that God is one. And because everybody around us believed in more than one God. So we were set apart and separate from everybody else. Okay, so I can see where you would think that way.
But there's another theory about the multiple gods. Like, listen, this is very interesting. I just learned this a few weeks ago. Like monotheistic religion, like Judea, Christendom, and Islam, they always said that pagans believe in multiple gods, but they're just bunch of examples. Like it's like companies with symbols. Like they like if you just went to a temple and they just worshipped, I don't know, just let me give you an example of the Greek gods. They used to worship Athena, Zeus, whatever, Hades, and they have different ideas, and it's like people didn't used to read books and learn things from them. So instead, they went to their temple. An example, Athena, they teach how marriages works and creating family works, and they went to that temple and they get stories and explanations how it works. And if you go to a war and you are a soldier, you have to face a war, and you're young and you fear and you're not motivated, you go to a temple where they worship Ares, and they just go to that temple, hear stories about their god. It's just a way of communicating with each other instead of worshiping, though. People think they are used to worship all the time, but that is not really true. It's like learning from something. And in Hinduism, this is the same thing. In Hinduism, people think that they are worshiping multiple gods, and they are actually not, though. They're just symbols with certain meanings. That Kali with 4 arms, it's just a symbol. It's like a company with a symbol, and then you go there and they teach you certain things about how you have to behave and how you have to sit and breathe and all of those things. And that's it. The monotheistic religion that's like a dictatorship. Like, can you imagine? Like, you have democracy, and you have multiple people they want to be in charge. But monotheist religion will say no, only one God have to be in charge, not those multiple gods. And what happened is that one prophet is denying all those multiple gods and trying to drag all the people towards him. And I think that's what happened in the past. The monotheistic religion is a danger, and because they want the total power to himself by saying that only God, one God exists. And the people that always say that only one God exists are just prophets, and it's not God himself. And that's the reason there's always conflict. And Muslims are doing this all the time with Christians and Jews. They say Allah is the only one, and they are just attacking each other. And they're saying, oh, you are not following Allah correctly, and they're attacking the pagans and this and that. That's the reason they are attacking each other, because of monotheistic religion. That's interesting.
Okay. I don't know really what to say about that. I disagree that it's dangerous.
Do you know the conflict in Jamaica in the past when before there's a documentary about Bob Marley? There was like 2 leaders, they fought each other. There was almost no debate, and certain people was capitalist and certain people was communist, and some of the youth they followed those ideologies had guns on the streets. Every time when their leaders try to take over each other, the youth constantly was in war with each other. They shoot each other, and Bob Marley, there's an entire documentary about it. Bob Marley tried to bring those 2 politicians together. It's like accepting two gods. You understand what I mean? It's like a modern way of having gods, two leaders instead of one leader. And the same thing, if you go in a spiritual way, if you just accept there's multiple gods, you don't have to go into war with each other instead of saying, oh, there's only one God.
But isn't there like Greek and Roman mythology that specific? I mean, that's all they talk about. It's like this god went to war with this god and all this other kind of stuff.
Yeah, those gods are just people. In the past, look, if you just go look into the Roman gods and Greek gods, they're just humans. With gods, they mean just kings or people that had the authority over everyone. And if you just go back into the times of Romans, they used to believe that they have the total saying. You know, you can just even as a Roman emperor, you can even sleep with someone's wife randomly, like because you have the total power. They used to believe you are the god. You have the entire control over this and that. God used to be just humans that had total control, and the same thing is with this line. It's just people with power. You have to accept that. You have to just accept there's multiple leaders or multiple gods, and just I think accepting multiple gods is just accepting multiple leaders. Like what Bob Marley did with those 2 socialist party and the Democrat party or whatever capitalist and communist leaders. They just brought them together and they said it's all about the nation. It's not all about God or leaders. You understand? What is good for Israel? To save lives, right? So the entire civilization exists. But if you just constantly spend time which God is the true God, the entire people, both people are going to fight with each other because of those stuff.
So that goes against the whole concept of just the Jewish people being in their ancestral homeland because God gave them this land. So you're basically saying we shouldn't. Doesn't matter if we're in this land or in some other land because we shouldn't pay attention to God.
That was a mistake in the past. The Jewish people, I think, what I believe, the Muslims and the Christians and Jews, they made a mistake in the past. Okay, the Jewish people have been through a lot of things, faced a lot of discrimination, but those discrimination came not because the other people are bad, but the Jewish people was like, how can you say, kind of hard-headed with their religion and try to tell this is the only way to live for us. But they slowly, Jewish people, are figuring out you don't have to be a Jewish person to live and live your life. That's why there is Jewish atheistic people. But we should not look at the past so much because I think everyone that's a different world. You didn't have internet. You didn't have those kind of signs and other things, but Israel exists now. The Jewish people is almost like an ethnicity now. It's not just a religion, and yeah, we should look forward and try to bring the people together in the Middle East and stop the war and exchange ideas, because Jews have been through a lot in the past, and I think it's not the mistake of the people. But I think it's the mistake of the Jewish people by calling themselves Jews and separating themselves from others. Yeah, I know that Jewish the community is trying to protect their community from certain activities like sins and like there's a certain way of their living, like certain disciplines. But if you just look into their own community, the Jewish community, they still make those mistakes. So it doesn't matter which religion or which community you belong to, you are just the same. If you even if you are not Jewish or not, or you are Jewish, you're the same people. We humans we have the same desires, we have the same wishes. We just want to live. We just want to fall in love. We want to count money. We just want to live comfortable, look good, have our family together. Yeah.
Okay, that was an interesting viewpoint. I really can't. It's hard for me to follow it because it's just not something that I'm used to hearing. I can't really I don't even know what to say about it right now. And right now in my head, I'm so tired. My head can't think right now. So I wish I had something to say in response to you, but I can't really think right now of what to say. It's interesting. You make some good points, but like I said, I have a problem talking to people outside Israel and people, non-Jewish people, because of exactly the same kind of thinking. And it's hard for me to grasp how to talk to you about it. Because I feel like unless you live here, unless you're Jewish, unless you're Israeli, you don't really understand our viewpoint, okay? And you're looking at it from the outside and thinking, why can't they just do this? Why can't just everybody get along and everything like that? And of course, Israel does a lot of things that I don't agree with. I feel like they made a lot of mistakes in the past. I'm hopeful that we can get to a place where people are more unified in how they think, and we can all come to an agreement about how to live here peacefully together, even within the Israelis. That they want to have peace within each other, because there's a lot of people that don't like each other here in Israel. And so, but I don't think taking away religion is going to do it. I think we actually need more religion, because this is what the Jewish people have, a covenant with God that is everlasting. And this is why we're in this land. This land is holy, it's special only for the Jewish people. And they have to realize that and go back to worshiping God instead of worshiping themselves or democracy or atheism. So that's where I'm at. We're at totally different ends of the spectrum. But I appreciate your viewpoint. I feel like you have valid points, but I don't really understand it and I don't really agree with it. And with that, I have to I'm so tired, man. I have to end this live.
Okay.
So
no problem.
you come back. But I need to go and get some sleep.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.